Oh, BookTube. I have a bit of a book haul for you today. Um, Took the day off, which was nice. Had to bring my son to work in the early afternoon. So I just kept driving and I went up to the Listen bookstore, or thrift store, excuse me, and grabbed a few things. Now, most of them, I did a tour of the grotto here a few days ago, I think. And I mentioned I had to put a shelf up over the window, just a board, and that I was a little tight on room. Well, the grotto's full of books, but so is the rest of the house. Only one of these books I think is going out here, and the rest go on bookshelves in the house. So I spent $7 today, but but I got 3 books given to me yesterday. Here, let me show them to you. I think I put a picture of them on my Instagram. So the first one's a paperback. It's not in great shape, but I'm looking forward to reading it. It's Two Appomattox, 9 April Days, 1865 by Burke Davis. It was a literary guild selection back when that meant something. Hour by Hour, the most fateful days in the life of a nation. These events have never been so fully and spiritedly, that's a word, retold. Wholeheartedly recommended. So, paperback, concave on the spine there. 75 cents when it came out, which originally it was published in hardback at $6. Yeah, you ain't doing that nowadays. Well, maybe you are, I don't know. The other one is, I couldn't stay away from this. So I'm in the middle of reading American Classicist, the biography of Edith Hamilton, the author of Greek Way, Roman Way, mythology. Her books are still all in print. She's been deceased for quite a while now. Anyway, it's great biography. So I get this given to me, and then I'm already, at least a quarter of the way through it. About a quarter of the way through it. Terrible Swift Sword, A Life of General Philip H. Sheridan by Joseph Whelan. It's a great story. This guy can write. Mr. Whelan can write. It's a trade paperback. These aren't the fanciest photos in the world. I mean, there's Sheridan. I always loved the hat. And I was talking to my friend Sean D. Standfast about it with the channel of the same name. And he said, on the TV show, science fiction show from years ago, Babylon 5, which he loves and I really enjoy. And our buddy Scott Danielson also enjoys. Also with the channel of the same name. Sheridan, who's the head of Babylon 5, is named after this fella. So far, really good. And then another Civil War one. This is J. Lee McDonough's Shiloh in Hell Before Night, which is University of Tennessee Press. It's about a particular battle, obviously. I will get to this. This thing went through, it was on the 5th printing in 1991, and it came out in 77, so it must be well thought of. I don't know this book. Those of you Civil War buffs, drop me a line, comment, however. I don't read a ton of Civil War. Mostly mine is French and Indian War, American Revolution, World War II, stuff like that. But always willing to branch out. So that was the ones that were given to me. I gotta wet my whistle here a little bit. I go for the expensive stuff. Am I allowed to do that? Yeah, I'm allowed to do that. This is an adult channel. Oh, let me do this. So I had to get out of frame there. Simply because you've seen the layout of the room, those of you who watch the video. Just no other way to do this. So, in no particular order, listen, today I picked up Ludovico Ariosto's Orlando Furioso. Say that you could do a poem with that, couldn't you? Because it is a poem. Part 1. Look at the size of this thing. Oh, my finger there. That'll be a size comparison. Cell phone. So, this is translated by Barbara Reynolds. I have an abridged single volume. And when I saw this thing for $1, I said, I'm going to grab it and hope I find the second one. It's in good shape. A couple of these little specks. I just take one of those Sharpies, those black Sharpies. Pat, pat, pat. Looks brand new. That little crease, you could actually run it down there, but you're probably seeing it more than you would actually see it holding it. Just a thing of the camera. So, the chief aim in writing the poem, composed over a period of 27 years and one of the greatest works of the Italian Renaissance, was to give delight, and in this he admirably succeeded. He created worlds situated between high fantasy and reality, dazzling, kaleidoscopic of fabulous adventures, ogres, monsters, barbaric splendor, and romance, all tempered by the unifying personality of the author, his humor and serenity, his humanity and moderation. I've read sections. I've never read it all, and I'm probably being a little ambitious to think I ever will read it all, but I'm getting old. I'm going to retire soon. So, yeah, I've been taking not yet a lot of days. I always say I'm going to take days off this time of year. And I end up working for part of the day anyway. But anyway, when I'm totally retired, maybe that book will be there. This one, I've read excerpts from, again, same type of thing. It's a Penguin Classic. And I've read it usually in books about philosophy where it is brought up, or in religious history books. I'm not going to read this all the way through, I don't think. But when a section comes up that's applicable in something else I'm reading, I'll go to it. Or if there's a particular section that sounds fascinating, I'll go to it. And this is Plotinus, the Aeneids. Translated by Stephen McKenna. Abridged with an introduction and notes by John Dillon. And this is abridged. Some of it would probably pass right over my head. It does look like they have plenty of notes. But I'm probably using this more on my philosophy shelf or religious shelves to have when I'm reading about some idea out of this in another book. So I don't know if any of you do that. I'm sure some of you do. So we'll see if it works out or if it just collects dust. This one I actually will use. I love these kind of things. I don't have a ton of them, but I have a few. This is Oxford Reader's Companion to George Eliot, edited by John Rignall. I also have Cambridge volumes that are similar. I always find these things helpful. This let's see, Oxford University Press, obviously. When did this come out? You have to read a little bit to find these dates sometimes. First published in 2000. I'm going to figure it sometime close to that, I don't know. And they're just entries. Let's see if I can find something that's nice and typical. Anything you want to know about George Eliot, and we're afraid to ask. That is not going to be a good spot for that. And then a similar volume, and this one's also Oxford. This is the Dickens Index, the most comprehensive reference book to the whole of Dickens ever to have appeared. And that was from the TLS, the Times Literary Supplement. Very famous image of Dickens on the cover there. And you sort of get a better feel for that image there. I always thought that was sort of cool. So, Nicholas Bentley, Michael Slater, and Nina Burgess are responsible for this volume, and which came out when? 1988. So, you get some weird word you run into in Dickens, you get some overarching thing you're looking up. This can be really handy. These types of volumes are always handy. I've got Robert Louis Stevenson ones. I've got a bunch of them, but not as many as I'd like. This next one's a history. We're pretty heavy on nonfiction here. So this next one is a history. It's got some sort of schmutsy thing on it. I don't know what it is. Is an author that's pretty familiar to people on BookTube. Antonia Fraser. This is Royal Charles II, and the Restoration. So one of these, I don't know, we get the whole pageant there. That's a pageant, right? This is a jacket designed by Irving Bogan. The Triumphal Entry of Charles into London by Dirk, D-I-R-C-K, Stoop, S-T-O-O-P, courtesy of the Duke of St. Albans. And here's Lady Antonia, many years ago. She's had quite a shelf of books she's made. This one's from 1979. And I've always been, this is the first American edition, I've always been interested in stories of, like after the Restoration, of Charles sending his henchmen to hunt down folks in the Americas. Eventually, the kings had to go the other direction, because we're not big on kings here. But this one here, another thing, this is a Naval Institute Press. This is Lord Nelson and His Way of War, and the title is For God and Glory by Joel Hayward. So, Naval Institute Press. Study of strategy and the influences that led to a strategic mindset. So it's sort of a different thing. This is something you'd want to read in conjunction with Nelson biography, of which there is no shortage. Here's Nelson before the Battle of Trafalgar. So yeah, this is going to be a pretty scholarly job. Found this little business card in it. Beethoven Record House, Center Point, Singapore. Lena Tan. So somebody who had this must have stopped in Singapore. But glad to have this. I have a huge Nelson shelf. I have a lot of Nelson's books. But like Napoleon or George Washington or any of these people, you can spend the rest of your life collecting Nelson books and still have new ones to deal with. This one here, this I got solely because of my friend Sean D. Standfast, again with the channel. We should call them stations, but no, a channel is the same name. Sean knows a lot about African history that I don't know, and he reads a ton of stuff about the continent, the history, the explorers, imperials' comings and goings, and all this. So I couldn't resist this. I know he knows this. I haven't Voxered him yet. I will. I believe this is the first American edition of this thing. Copyright 1965. I don't know. It just says, that's all it says, but looks a little funky to me. But this giant thing, I have to ask Sean what edition it is. The Washing of the Spears by Donald R. Morris. The Rise and Fall of the Zulu Nation. This thing's a beast of a book. History books often are. I mean, one on the Renaissance right now is probably bigger than this one. Let's see if they have any. I don't see any photographs. I see some maps. Yeah, there may be photographs in here I'm not looking at. Anyway, I love history. And I love history from around the world. So this isn't outside my wheelhouse. I've just never gotten to something like this. If any of you, this was a famous book, so if any of you have read this, let me know, and then I'll talk to Sean and see what he's got to say about it. He's probably mentioned it to me before, and I just went over my head or something. This last thing's huge. It's not really thick. It's got a little ding in it. That's all right. Richard M. Ketchum is a famous American historian, and there's his ginormous. Look at the size of my head. I got a big old noggin, so you can imagine how big this book is. This is The World of George Washington. This is the back. This is an American Heritage edition, which I should have realized when I saw it. So I'm wondering if I don't have this in hardback in just a slightly smaller format. But if I do, I'll keep both, because this is actually pretty cool how this is done. So everything you wanted to know about George Washington in images and text. Boston Massacre. I actually saw this broadsheet. I think at the Rare Books Room in the Boston Public Library is where I saw it. Yeah. So fun stuff. I love this era of American history, and we're coming up on our 250th celebration of independence. I watched some videos where people say, oh, this is older than America. You realize that those colonies were here a long time before they broke away and became independent. So everything isn't just 250 years old. I have houses on my street that are older than 250 years old. But the other day I heard somebody from Britain saying, well, this restaurant's 120 years old, nearly as old as America. No. Take your shoes off and use your feet, your toes to help you count. So anyway, on that little diatribe, see, get into the Revolutionary War and I start picking on my friends from England. That's a terrible thing to do. And I don't mean a word of it. So anyway, a pile of books. I'm not going to do a pyramid with them. Mainly, there's not a lot of them, but because it would be awkward. So anyway, I hope you're doing well. I hope you're going to enjoy your weekend. Don't know about the weather where you're at. I'm not even sure about the weather where I'm at, but be well.